Hey everyone, it's Zinnia here. Today I wanted to show you how to make a choose your own adventure game in Scratch. So I'm going to break this into 3 steps, which will be make questions for the player, make options for the player to choose from, and add multiple locations with more different questions. So let's get started with step 1, making a question for the player. First, let's pick a backdrop for the first scene of your game. So you can hover over choose a backdrop and click choose. And maybe you have an idea already for the story you want to do, or you could also get an idea from one of the backdrops. You could also make it be based on a movie or a game or book. For the example, I'm going to make one based on a choose your own adventure that I actually came up with when I was younger, and it started at a cave. So I'm going to pick the mountain backdrop. So let's make the first question for the player. To make a question sprite, you can hover over choose a sprite, and we're going to click paint. And I'll click on the rectangle tool and draw out a box to be the box where the question will be. I think that I'll change the color by clicking here, and maybe I'll set it to, I don't know, maybe a light blue, very light blue. And I'll also click here and change the outline. I think I'll set it to this same blue, but make it darker by dragging these sliders. And then I can click on the text tool and set the text color with the eyedropper to this same sort of dark blue color and type out the first question. In my game, it was something along the lines of, oh my god, I can't type. You are escaping from a cave. Let me click on this and make it a little smaller so it fits in the box. And you'll have to press the return key if you ever want to add a new line. So you're escaping from a cave and arrive at a crossroads. One way leads to the woods, the other to a town. Which way do you go? Of course, this is just an example. You can write whatever you want for your story. So there we go. We've got a question. And now, step 2, let's make options for the player to choose from. So I'll hover over choose a sprite again and click paint. And I'll draw out another rectangle to be option 1. I'll sort of move it down there. Maybe I'll make it a little smaller. And I think I'll change the color of the questions rectangle and drag it to something over here. And I can also change the outline. I'll call this the woods, since it ends up being pretty helpful to have names for all of the options so that you can tell them apart when you have lots of them. So I'll just right click on this and click duplicate to make another one for the option to go to the town. Let me move these all up a little bit. So I'll make this one say the town, and I'll also name it the town. So we have created our options, but there's nothing that the player can do with them, so let's give them some code. So I'll click on the woods option and click on the code tab. Let's make it so that the options glow when the player hovers over them. So to do that, you can just go to the looks category and scroll down, and this block that says set color effect. If you choose brightness effect, set brightness effect to 0 just makes it look normal. But if you set brightness effect to something higher, like 50, that will make it glow a lot. You can also set it to something a little lower than that to make it not glow as much. I think 20 might be pretty nice. And to make it glow when the player hovers on it, you can go to the control category and drag out this block, if then, and you can say, if this sprite is touching the mouse pointer, then set brightness effect to 20, make it glow. Otherwise, if it's not touching the mouse pointer, set the brightness effect to 0. And if you put this inside a forever loop, now, let me click on it, if it's touching the mouse pointer, it sets the brightness effect a little bit higher and it glows. If not, it just looks normal. So I think that's really nice. I'll put a when green flag clicked block on top so that this starts when the green flag is clicked. And I will drag this code and give it to the other option. So now if I click the green flag, I can hover over either option and they glow. So that's nice. Now, for step 3, let's make it so the player goes to a new scene when they click on the woods choice, and let's give them a new decision to make. At this point, you might find it helpful to sketch out a little drawing of what your choose your own adventure game looks like, because it could help you keep it all in your head. So this is what I made. My first question is, do they want to go to the woods or the town? And then if they pick woods, they'll go to this scene, and it will ask them if they want to pick up a pendant or a pouch, and then they'll have those two options. And later I could add on more things that can happen if they go to the town. But yeah, this can be nice for keeping track of where you are in your story. So to make it so that the player can click on this woods option and it takes them to a new scene, we can say, when this sprite clicked, let's make this woods option send out a broadcast called the woods. And when you have a sprite send out a broadcast, you can make the other sprites and the stage do something when they get that broadcast. So to make the stage switch to a new woods background when the player chooses this option, well, let's hover over choose a backdrop again and add a new backdrop for that new scene. I'll pick this one, and we can go to the stage and say, when I receive the woods, switch the backdrop to this jungle backdrop. So let's try that out. Oh, and let's make it so that when the green flag is clicked, it switches the backdrop to the mountains backdrop. So we start there. So now let's try that again. Okay, we start there, we click the woods, and it takes us to the woods. Pretty nice. Now, let's also make it so that when we click and choose the woods, it goes to a new question for the player. So we can go to the questions sprite, and let's click on the costumes tab, and duplicate this costume, and make a new question. So I'll write up the next question that was going to be in my game, which makes the player choose between taking a pendant or a pouch. And I'll actually name these costumes. I'll call this one Woods or Town. And I'll call this one Pendant or Pouch, because this makes it easy to tell them apart in the code. So when the green flag is clicked, we want to switch the costume to the first question, which was Woods or Town. There you go. And when this question sprite receives the broadcast, the woods, then switch the costume to the pendant or pouch costume. So let's try that. So I click on the woods, and there you go. It shows the next question. Now, the only problem with this is when it asks this question, we want there to be new options, the pendant and the pouch, not just the same woods and town options. So let me show you how to do that. So the same way that I made these two options, I made two more and called them the pendant and the pouch. And I'll drag them to the position I want them to be. And I also gave them this same code that makes them glow when they're hovered. So how can we make it so that when the woods is clicked on, the woods and town options hide and these new options appear? Well, let's make it so that when the green flag is clicked, these options of the pendant and the pouch hide, so they don't show at the beginning of the game. I'll drag this code and give it to the pendant also. So when I click the green flag, just these woods and town options appear. And to make the woods and town hide when the woods gets clicked on, let's make the woods sprite, before it broadcasts the woods, let's make it send out a broadcast to hide all options. So I'll give it that. And when it receives the broadcast, hide all options, it will hide, and I'll give this same code to the town option. So let's try that out. When I click on the woods, that makes the woods and town options hide. And then it will broadcast the woods, because that's the choice that the player made. And when the player clicks on the woods, we want these pendant and pouch options to appear. So when they receive the woods, these options can show, and I'll give this same code to the pouch option. So let's try that out. So click green flag. Oh, and you know what? We have to make the woods and the town show when the green flag is clicked at the beginning of the game. So when the green flag is clicked, let's make it show. So click the green flag, the woods and town appear, click the woods, and now the pendant and pouch options appear. So there you go. And if I wanted to make the player be able to choose the pendant, I'd just have to give it the same code that I gave to the woods sprite when it was chosen. So I can just say, when this sprite clicked, I'd have it first broadcast hide all options, and then broadcast a new message, the pendant. And I'd also just have to make it so that when this sprite and all of my other options sprites receive hide all options, they also hide. So I'd give that to this pouch sprite as well. And yeah, that is how you can make a choose your own adventure game. I hope you have fun making games. I'll see you next time. And scratch on!